photocopies, but I came from my Facebook photocopies.
That you like these songs, but they are peculiar songs, and they're not folk songs. Oh, listen, it's no good you laughing. They're not folk songs, and they're not popular songs. And some of the buggers are not songs at all.
A grand upstanding bantam cock, so brisk and stiff and spry, with springy step and a jaunty bloom and a purposeful look in his eye. In his little black blinking eye he had. I took him to the coop and I introduced him to me 17 wide-eyed hens. He upped and he tucked like a hero tupps, and he bowed from the waist to them all, and then he upped and he tucked them all again, he did. And then upon a piece of me ducks and me geese he rudely did intrude. With glazed eyes and open mouths they bore it all with fortitude, and a little bit of gratitude they did. He jumped my giggling guinea fowl and thrust his attentions upon my 20 hysterical turkeys and a visiting migrant swan. And the bantam thundered on. He ravished my fantail pigeons, my lily-white columbine, and while I was locking up my budgerigar, he jumped me parrot from behind. She was sitting on my shoulder at the time she lied. Then all of a sudden, with a gasp and a shudder, he clasped his hands to his head, lay flat on his back with his toes in the air, me bantam cock lay dead, and the vultures circled overhead they did. What a noble brute, what a champion cock, what a way to live and die. I was digging him a grave to save his bones from the hungry buzzards in the sky, when the bantam opened up a sly little eye. He gave me a grin and a terrible wink, the way sex maniacs do. He said, "You see them big daft buggers up there? They'll be down in a minute or two. They'll be down in a minute or two." Thank you for coming. It's a cold and it's a horrible night, and I don't know if anybody will turn up, and it's fantastic. Thank you for coming. My name's John Watterson, and I know I've met some of you before, some new faces, and I usually get a mixture of Jake Thackray anoraks, people who really know the songs and remember Jake and know the words better than I do. So if you're an anorak, you're welcome, and please don't be offended by that term. I am the number one anorak. It's a term of endearment. And I usually get some newbies as well. Some people have been dragged along, usually by somebody in the first group, and they've no idea who this Jake Thackray was, because they're under the age of 70, and they've not a clue what's going on, and they'd rather be nice in the warm watching telly. So thank you for being, if you've been dragged out, thank you for being dragged. I can usually recognise those people. They're usually a bit younger, and they're the ones who drink heavily all the way through the evening. But my job, whether you remember Jake Thackray or not, my job tonight is to either remind you or convince you of what a fantastic songwriter Jake Thackray was. So, as well as the humour, there's a lot of humour in Jake's songs. Listen to the poetry, listen to the alliteration. The man was just an absolute wordsmith, and it's just a joy to be doing his songs. And it's lovely to be back here as well. It's been great. Jake Thackray, for the newbies, a 15-second biog. Jake was a Yorkshireman, born in Leeds, went to school in Leeds, then Durham University, and then spent 4 years in France and Algiers. He was a very fluent French speaker, even as a young man. And he was teaching in Lille, but taking every opportunity to go up to Paris to listen to this French singer-songwriter who he was besotted by the work of this man, Georges Brassens. And little known in this country, but Jake found his wordplay and his ability to write songs and get a message across and get a story across. They're all about the stories and the words, Jake Thackray's songs. And he became infatuated with the work of Brassens, and in later life was to become a friend of Brassens. All of the songs I'm going to do tonight were written by Jake Thackray, with the exception of this next one. This was recorded by Jake, but in fact was written in French by George Brassens, and Jake translated it and recorded it. And he said he really liked the songs of George Brassens because you could listen to a George Brassens song at different levels. And so it is with this song. So it is with this song. The intellectuals in the room tonight, who are clearly numerous, you will hear one song. You will hear a song which is a satirical song, a song which has a go at the French judicial system in the 1950s and 60s and the practice of capital punishment in France in that period. That's what you clever people will hear. The rest of you will hear a song about a sex-crazed gorilla. There's no quiz at the end, okay? It's entirely between your conscience. There's a little refrain thing goes through the song, Brother Gorilla goes through every so often. If you feel like joining in, please leave immediately. It's not a bloody folk club. Through the bars of a large enclosure, the village ladies intently stared, where a gorilla with massive composure was impassively combing his hair. They were shamelessly interested, eyeing devoutly a certain spot, but me mothers especially requested I refrain from telling you what. Brother Gorilla. Come on, I know you're dying to have a go. Have a go. Brother Gorilla. Fantastic. A few Yorkshire accents next time would be good. Well, the door of the circus lock-up, where the noble brute had been put by an administrational cock-up, was unwisely left unshut. I'm going to lose it at last, he cried, swinging lissomely out of his cage, referring, of course, to his chastity. He was just at a difficult age. Brother Gorilla. Those self-same ladies who previously had been licking their lips from afar did a bunk, which proves how devious and whimsical women are. In the path of the lovesick monkey, there were two who wouldn't budge, a little old lady all shrunken and the petty sessions judge. Brother Gorilla. The old girl said it would be surprising and unlikely in the extreme if anyone found me appetizing and beyond me wildest dreams. The judge, in turn with tranquility, to take me for a female ape would be the height of improbability. Even judges make mistakes. Brother Gorilla. It would be curious and uncanny, say if the choice were up to you, to ravish a judge or a granny and you didn't know which to do. If I were in such a position and the choice had got to be mine, I'd beg the old lady's permission but go for grandma every time. Brother Gorilla. The gorilla is very proficient in the role of a paramour, but his mental equipment's deficient and his eyesight's awfully poor. With a Paleolithic leer, he gave the old lady the miss, and grabbing the judge by the ear, gave him an introductory kiss. Brother Gorilla. In time, the gorilla's desires were more or less gratified. The judge, being rather biased, couldn't see the funny side. He was kicking and screaming and wailing when his moment of truth had come. Like those wretches he owed daily to be taken away and hung. Brother Gorilla. I spend my time singing songs and collecting stories about Jake. I am writing a book. I've been researching it for about 3 years. I'm now actually writing the biography on Jake Thackray. It's great fun. So if anybody's got any Jake Thackray stories, come and tell me. I did find out a while ago that Jake was a big pal and a drinking buddy with Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, and I thought this was curious, and I wanted to explore this friendship, this curious friendship. Jake got Led Zeppelin some rehearsal time at a school in Leeds when he was working, and he used to go drinking with them. And I thought, Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant, Jake Thackray, it's a very, very odd thing. So I was at a festival, Crop Ready Festival, run by Fairport Convention a couple of years ago, and I knew Robert Plant was backstage. And I knew the guys in Fairport, and I said to one of them, Dave Pegg, I said, any chance you can get me an interview with Robert Plant? I'd like to interview Robert Plant for the book. Because it'd be great on the cover, wouldn't it? Back if Robert Plant interviewed, quote, great to have on the cover of the book. And he said, yeah, Planty. He said, Planty, I'll introduce you to Planty. I said, oh, Planty. Mr. Planty. And went backstage, and there's a catering tent backstage, and Putney is getting himself a cup of coffee. I thought, I've got my little digital recorder thing, you know. And we went up, and I'm getting nervous at this stage because it's probably like, And Dave Pegg said, Robert, this is my mate John here. He's doing a book on Jake Thackray. Remember Jake Thackray? Oh yeah. He said he wants to do an interview with you for the book. Is that okay? And Plenty said, yeah, it's okay. Fantastic, this is going to be good. Got my little digital recorder. I will now tell you the entire interview I did with Robert Plant for the biography on Jake Thackray. He said, what do you want to know? And I thought, just get him talking. Open question. Get him talking first. I thought, well, that's the way to do it. So I went, well, just tell me what you remember about Jake Thackray. And Plenty said, oh yeah, Jake, nice guy, funny guy. Anyway, gotta go. Absolutely true. So, if when I get around to finishing this book, if you come across it in a charity bookshop or something, you will see on the cover that Robert Plant was interviewed for the making of the book, but I may not have the space to put the full transcript of the interview. But you'll know the reason why. So, in order to celebrate that friendship between Jake Thackray and Robert Plant, I thought what I'd do is introduce a Jake Thackray song with a bit of Led Zeppelin guitar work. I thought if he's looking down, he would like that. But I've tried to do it in such a way that you, the audience, can't spot the join between the Led Zeppelin bit and the Jake Thackray bit. And we'll get partway through this song, and we'll be in the Jake Thackray bit, and you'll go, bloody hell, how did he do that? How did we get here? You'll just be, I know, it worked every time. I'm quietly confident. For the ladies' magical circle meets tonight in an upstairs Aspen district room that's lit by candlelight, where Elizabeth Jones and Lily O'Grady and 3 or 4 more married ladies practice every week unspeakable pagan rites. Dressed in their Sunday coats and their flower pot hats, respectable middle-aged ladies running too fat at that. There's Elizabeth Jones and Lily O'Grady, 3 or 4 more married ladies, each with a Woolworths broomstick and a hat. But they don't waste time with a Ouija board or a seance now and again. No, none of your wittering, twittering, petty poltergeists for them. No, Elizabeth Jones and Lily O'Grady and 3 or 4 more married ladies prefer to be tickled by the whiskery chins of bogeymen, while their husbands potter and snooker down the club, unaware of the devilish jiggery poke and rub-a-dub-dub, while Elizabeth Jones and Lily O'Grady and 3 or 4 more married ladies are frantically dancing naked for Beelzebub. And after the witches' picnic and the devil's grog, after their savage panting, their hysterical leapfrog, well, Elizabeth Jones and Lily O'Grady and 3 or 4 more married ladies go back home for cocoa and the epilogue. So be careful how you go of a Saturday night. If you see a little old lady passing by, it very well might be Elizabeth Jones or Lily O'Grady, or one of those satanical ladies. Their eyes are wild and bright, their cheekbones all alight. Don't go where they invite, because the Castleford Ladies' Magical Circle meets tonight. So Jake came back from France, mid-60s, early mid-60s, and got a job teaching at a school in Leeds, his hometown. Went back to live with his mum, got his job teaching. And he was, I've interviewed some former pupils and colleagues, and he was an unorthodox teacher. Anybody who remembers Jake would agree that the word unorthodox applied to many things. An unorthodox teacher, he would he'd get the guitar out during English lessons if he sensed the children were getting bored, or he was getting bored with the topic, and they'd write poetry and sing songs in the classroom. And he'd do other things that you're probably not supposed to do, like send one of the kids round to the corner shop for 20 fags at playtime and stuff. And And he started writing songs, and the songs he started to write were very much like those of George Brassens and Jacques Brel, people that he'd listened to in France. Story songs, people who told, about people and the human condition, as he put it. And I'll do one of those songs now, and it's by way of getting my defence in first to an extent, because there are one or two of Jake's songs that lend themselves to possible accusations of being a little bit sexist or slightly misogynistic. Very, very touchy subject these days. Now, I will defend, as I do those songs and introduce them, I will defend them, and I will explain to you why those songs are not sexist or misogynistic, okay? But I'm getting my defence in first with a song where this lady is front and centre. She's very much the star of the show. She ploughs her own furrow in life regardless of what her neighbours say. It's the widow of Bridlington. She was a widow in Bridlington, she was the widow of Brid. Small and bonny at 42, with eyes of very unsettling blue. And what she thought she ought to do, she did. Whatever she thought she ought to do, she did to the widow of Brid. My only darling's dead, he is, and all my children grown. The house has emptied, all the lovebirds flown. In place of widow's weeds, I'll let my coal black hair grow long, as glossy as a blackbird's wing, as cocky as his song. She found that she could please herself, she could with the widow of Brid. Swim in the sea when she felt hot, stay in bed when she did not, and she began to laugh a lot. She did, to sing and dance and laugh a lot. She did the widow of Brid. And sometimes she would drop the shopping and leave the bed unmade, and sit till evening on the esplanade. She'd sometimes go to church and call on Jesus by his name. She fared as any blackbird would whenever hunger came. She learned to play the violin, she did the widow of Brid. And Saturday night in the drinking shop, she jumped upon the countertop and fiddled till the dancers dropped. She did. Stomping upon the copper top, she did the widow of Brid. And she was fond of fishing boats and all their beardy crew, and partial to a salty kiss or two. And many of them would gruffly whisper, "Marry me and stay." But blackbirds do their singing from a different bush each day. She had a massive motorbike, she had the widow of Brid, and so she could, when so she wished, ride back home early morning-ish, with her hair in the air and smelling of fish. She did, and every time of a different fish. She did the widow of Brid. And though she did no harm, the neighbours sniffed as neighbours do, and day by day a cankerous rancor grew. And many a pair of front room curtains twitched and shook with rage, for she was wild as blackbirds are, and they were in a cage. They came and broke the window panes, they did, of the widow of Brid. Spat upon her cycle shed, dragged her out of her Sunday bed, and cropped the hair and shaved the head. They did. They chopped the head and shaved the head. They did the widow of Brid. And when her sobs and hiccups stopped, she tidied everywhere. She cleaned the shed, she swept up all the hair. Some few of them came back in shame to ask her would she stay. But if you ever startle blackbirds, blackbirds go away. She sold up house and bought a wig did the widow of Brid, and unrepentant, undeterred, thundered off to cause a stir in poor old bloody Scarborough. She did, forget the spit on the window pane. Bugger Brid, I'm still the same. My hair will always grow again. It did. My hair will always grow again. It did. On the widow of Brid. words in that one. Day by day, a cankerous rancor grew. Fantastic. Brilliant. So while he was in Leeds, Jake played in a few folk clubs and that sort of thing, and pubs for his mates. And a BBC Radio Leeds producer, Pamela Howe, that's the fella, she heard him and thought that she was onto something and invited him to come and play on her programme, The North Countryman, in Radio Leeds. And she would then send cassette tapes. Some of you are not old enough to know what I mean by that. Down to BBC Television Centre in London to see if she could get the bosses of BBC TV interested in her discovery, her protégé, Jake Thackray. And I've got, actually, from the BBC, I've got the talent scout notes from the first hearing, and it's very, very snooty. It's very snooty. Jake had a couple of problems in getting accepted by the BBC in London. Firstly, he had a northern accent, which, remember, this is mid-60s BBC. And also he wrote intelligent songs, which is another drawback. And there's very snotty comments from these people about, certainly not up to broadcasting standard and all this nonsense and regional accent. But he did get, his tape got heard by the head of Light Entertainment, Roy Rich. And Roy Rich, I've got a copy of this letter, wrote to Jake Thackray saying, Head of Light Entertainment, I love what you do, it's very different, would you come down and talk to me? I think there's a career for you in television. And Jake wrote back, and again I got a copy of this letter. Dear Mr. Rich, thank you very much. I'm a teacher in Leeds, and the next opportunity I'll get for a holiday is in 6 weeks' time at Easter. So I'll come down then if that's okay. It'd be like somebody today saying that to Simon Cowell, the jump field. I'll tell you that. So I'll come down in 6 weeks, because I'm a teacher. And he did. He went down in 6 weeks, and in fairly short order after that, he was on national TV on a programme called Braden's Week every week. And it all nearly came to grief very early on because Jake was very much his own man. Other people who did that topical slot that do the funny song about something going on in the news, they were told what to write about, but not Jake. He would write his own song and they'd either like it or lump it, and the BBC weren't used to that. And he'd change his mind. They'd phone him up and say, what's the song about next week, Jake? Because we've got to get the set designers working on it. And he'd say, it's about a pier in Scarborough. And then they'd do the set design for a pier. And he'd turn up at the rehearsal on the Friday night and he'd do a song about a duck or something like that. What happened to the pier in Scarborough? I changed my mind. I didn't like that song. But this is a song that almost got him the sack from the BBC. He wrote this about the Miss World competition. And again, I ask you to remember this, mid-60s BBC. And the records show that on the Friday night, the rehearsal, this one Friday and only Friday, Jake called in sick. He wasn't able to do it. They used to rehearse on a Friday and do the show live on a Saturday. There was no video recording in those days. And on this Friday, he called in sick. Now, I've no proof of this, but I suspect, because there was nothing wrong with him at all on the Saturday for the show, so I think he didn't want people to hear this song before it went out live. And indeed, nobody did. The first time that Bernard Braden and Esther Ranson and Mary Whitehouse, for those old enough to remember, heard this song is when it went out on prime time BBC television. Breasts and thighs that hypnotize me, galvanize me so agonizingly, but such a size that, not surprisingly, she can hardly move at all. These are the queens of the earth, deserving our reverence, our homage. Miss Isles of Scilly, Miss Central Chile, Miss Doggerbank, Miss West Bromwich. And we guarantee the display will dispel all male melancholia. You'll see so much of Miss Ram, of Kuchnot, dementia, Miss in Mongolia. Breasts and thighs that hypnotize me, galvanize me so agonizingly, but such a size that, not surprisingly, she can hardly move at all. Miss South Rhodesia is here. You'll see she's a shade or two lighter. She's awful keen to keep her party clean, and UDI washes whiter. And what does Miss USA say. She says that she's everyone's sister, but she don't give a damn for Miss Vietnam, and she reckons Miss Russia's are Mister. Her breast and her thighs that hypnotise me, can galvanise me so agonisingly. With such a size that, not surprisingly, she can hardly move at all. There they all go in a row, displaying their fleshy perfection. Their withers and their flanks, their hams and their shanks, open to public inspection. But the judges are discriminating men. This is no job for no nitwit. They must carefully watch every cleavage and crotch for the girl who's the world's biggest tidbit. Her breasts and thighs that hypnotise me, galvanise me so agonisingly. But such a size that, not surprisingly, she can hardly move at all. She hardly moves at all. Shameless plug for the newish CD now. CD I managed to find, along with a friend of mine, Paul Thompson, we managed to find a number of songs that Jake wrote but never recorded and released. Some of them were in the live set, so the anoraks may recognise some of the songs, but they were never put onto an LP or a CD and not available on anywhere. So delighted with that. Now there are a couple of people. Has anybody bought this CD? That's yeah. Okay. Well, the producer of the CD was Paul Thompson's son, Will. Will is in the audience tonight, so if you have bought the CD, you can give Will a round of applause because it's a fantastic production. If you've not bought the CD but you're about to, you can give Will no. So I'll do a couple of those lost songs, those lost gems. The first one is a song about the family pet, the dog. If you're a doggy person, you might recognise a little bit of this. You haven't got a bloody clue, you never ever do the things that proper dogs do. Like finding your way home or what to do with bones as proper dogs do. You walk in your sleep, you feel worried by sheep. Oh, Jesus Christ, I've never ever known a dog as clueless as you. You haven't got a bloody clue. If I threw you a stick, you'd bring me back a lampshade. You cannot climb the stairs, you stare at empty chairs, you listen to the archers. You sniff ladies' frocks and the crotches of clergymen. Jesus Christ, I've never ever known a dog as clueless as you. But you're so nice, I'm so nice. You bark at the darkness, you fart at our parties. But you're so nice, I'm so nice. Visitors who visit us twice. You haven't got a bloody clue. I know no other dog that's got a favourite handbag. You've got no sense of smell, you cannot even tell a policeman from a lamppost. You sleep and you eat, and God knows you excrete off. Jesus Christ, I've never ever known a dog as clueless as you. But you're so nice, oh, so nice. Burglars adore you, they come back for more of you. So nice, oh, so nice. Burglars who burgle us twice. You haven't got a bloody clue. I couldn't give a toss because I rather like it. I couldn't give a toss because you do not do the things that proper dogs do. You don't bite, you don't fight. There is no kind of spite about you. Jesus Christ, I'm pretty sure would love a dog as clueless as you. Cause you're so nice, I'm so nice. No howling, no scowling, no prowling, no growling. Just so nice, I'm so nice. People who think of you twice. Burglars who burgle us twice. Visitors, fantastic. Late 1960s, Jake was recording in Abbey Road Studios, same time as the Beatles were recording Sgt. Pepper's. and they were at the studio same time, different studios obviously, and got to know each other. Particularly John Lennon was a fan of Jake Thackray, and they met up and talked, and John Lennon asked Jake to do him a cassette tape, which he did, and the Beatles took with them on their tour of India. And John Lennon learned some Jake Thackray songs, particularly the Cactus, you know. So a connection there, and another possible connection, which I'll explain in a minute. But Jake wrote this song, didn't record it, but wrote it for a little mini TV series in the late 60s called Jake's Scene. And they had the idea what they'd do, because they've got Jake on telly, he's famous. So they had the idea of giving him a camera crew and a microphone and sending him off into Carnaby Street to talk to the bright young things about fashion. Now, anybody who remembers seeing Jake would know that his idea of fashion was a roll-neck sweater or a suit, and that's fine, nothing wrong with that. But that wasn't his bag, as they said in those days. So these little interviews were very cringeworthy. Jake was really a fish out of water, and they stopped the series after a couple of episodes. But he wrote this little song to go with this series about fashion. It's a nice little thing. Rose to local fame when they opened up a chic boutique along Pink Lane, and since he poked his nose inside the trendy window pane, our Uncle Arthur hasn't been the same. He used to dress in army boots, woolly pulleys, fruity suits, did Arthur. Now he goes a great deal farther. He's wearing yellow flaring jeans, matching shirt and tie in blue and aubergine. Arthur, how you've changed. They'd never recognise you down the Labour Exchange. Uncle Arthur, clothes on the brain, snaggled up his pendant in his bicycle chain. It hurt him rather badly, but it didn't leave a stain. Oh, our Uncle Arthur hasn't been the same. With his combat jacket in jungle green, skin-tight slacks of velveteen, our Arthur now wears a primrose balaclava, purple shirts of Flemish lace, daringly unbuttoned to the waistline. Arthur is that wise, you ought to be more prudent with a stomach of that size. Uncle Arthur's day of reckoning came. He bought a body stocking, Arthur's always came. But since the day he found he couldn't get it off again, our Uncle Arthur hasn't been the same. Now, talking about this connection between Jake Thackray and the Beatles, I'm not suggesting that Jake Thackray copied the Beatles or the Beatles copied Jake Thackray, but it was just interesting that that song and another song came out about the same time. Maybe there's no similarity between Uncle Arthur. Nothing. But anyway, I'm not accusing anybody of anything at all. I am going to find out which one was written first, though, just fine. But it was around about the same time. I'll do this one. This is a bit of a dodgy song, this one, and I don't always do it because I'm a bit of a sensitive subject. This one was left on the cutting room floor of Jake's last album, the On Again album, and it's about death and funerals, and it's about how we behave at funerals. And I think maybe the producers thought the great British public weren't ready for a song. And I have to be careful because I play quite a lot at folk clubs, and given the average age of people who go to folk clubs, I have to be a bit careful. I have to look around the room and see, is there an empty chair? And I think, oh no, George isn't in tonight. I better not do this one. But anyway, it's a slightly iffy, offensive song. And if you're offended, then that's probably what Jake intended. And if there's a stony silence at the end of this song, then I'll understand what that means. And the second half will be songs all about ponies clopping down country lanes. So I'll do 45 minutes of that. See if you can recognise any of your family in this. I've got uncles and aunties and cousins and nephews and sisters-in-law. Our family swarms with Aberdeen's, we are thicker than flies. Sisters and brothers and cousins and daughters and mothers galore. The only time when all of us meet is when one of us dies. At the grave, at the grave, at the family grave, wherever you go there's always more arrive. At the grave, at the grave, at the family grave, for every dead one there are dozens of us alive, live, live. Dead, but there are dozens of us alive. Take a family christening, well nobody goes to those. And a family wedding more often than not an all ticket affair. But a funeral's free for all, you can go in the same old clothes. No need to buy him a present, so all of the family's there. You sit in the chapel and whisper and meditate over the stiff. You never speak ill of him, especially if you are close. But what a good family man and a wonderful friend, even if the defunct was a palpable pain in the arse and he died of a dose. At the grave, at the grave, the family grave, wherever you go, there's always more arrive. At the grave, at the grave, the family grave, for every dead one, there are dozens of us alive, live, live. Dead, but there are dozens of us alive. Some people go very white and just stand aghast and just go. They cannot manage to weep, and there's others that cannot refrain. Willy-nilly they bellow and howl at the drop of a corpse. In a couple of weeks they've forgotten the poor bugger's name. And then there are those, of course, who turn up and can then hardly wait for the coffin to drop and the vicar to stop and the sobbing subside. And then they are only a blur as they sprint for the cemetery gates to go get their hands on the money, the food, or the widow's backside. At the grave, at the grave, at the family grave, wherever you go, always more arrive. At the grave, at the grave, at the family grave, for every dead one, there are dozens of us alive, live, live. Dead, but there are dozens of us alive. So as I left York today to come down and play, I made sure all my 8 children were safe and sound in the garage. They said, "Father, where are you going, Father?" I said, "I'm going down to Putney in London, Putney in London." They said, "Is that a nice place, Father, Putney?" I said, "It's a lovely, lovely place, Putney." I said, "I've been there before, it's lovely." And they said, "What about the people in Putney? What people?" I said, "They're very, very nice people in Putney." And then the youngest, Priscilla. She's only 18 months, but very, very precocious. A little tear in her eye, she said, "Father, if those lovely, lovely people in that nice, nice place in Putney, if they buy any of your CDs at the interval, Father, could we have a cabbage for lunch tomorrow?" I worked on everybody apart from these buggies on the front row. She always signs her letters, worried brown eyes, queen of every problem page at 17. Never a week goes by but worried brown eyes is hanging out her heart achings in the Ladies' Weekly magazine. She has got a boyfriend named Dickie who would like to go too far. You know what Dickies are. And she's wondering, is he honourable or is he just a prancing Don Juan? Worst of all she fears, could she love a man who picks his ears? She always signs her letters with brown eyes. She She says she's got a little mole in a place where nobody's ever seen. And she asks, is it unsightly? Pretty brown eyes. Seeking advice on mole control in the Ladies' Weekly magazine. Then of course there's Dickie, desperate Dickie, who is growing very bold. His hands are so cold. Well, now's your chance, oh little brown eyes, to be passionate and rash and indiscreet. Body and soul, go on, give the lad a treat. Show him your mole. She holds her letters, woolly brown eyes, revealing every secret of her shy hygiene. And she'd like a bigger bosom, woolly brown eyes, thrashing out her Tommy bulge in the Ladies' Weekly magazine. Dickie's been molesting her and pestering her again. He's so obsessed, he gives her no rest. Every letter's full of tricky Dickie, but this week I feel there's something new. He must have made his move, something must have happened. Her handwriting's improved. Oh, spares a kind of prayer for woolly brown eyes, queen of every problem page at 17. Never a week goes by but woolly brown eyes is hanging out her desperation in the Ladies' Weekly magazine. Could she do it? Should she do it? Would she? Opening up her heart aching so ill-advisedly, brown eyes that nobody's ever seen, with her Dickie Dino in the Ladies' Weekly magazine. We'll do one more, then we'll have a little break if that's okay, and then everybody get a drink and have a chat, and when everybody's back and ready, we'll do some more if that's okay. Yeah, I was going to say, oh yes, CDs. I mentioned the CD, didn't I? I mentioned that CD because when I was talking to the organisers here tonight, and I said, look, what's the best way to do some merchandise? And they said, well, we know all the people, we know every single person who's coming here tonight, and actually they are all very, very wealthy people. He said some of them may not look it, but they're like a bargain. They're like a bargain. So I said, you've got 2 CDs here? I said, I have. So I've got my live CD with 18 songs on, and I've got the Lost Will and Testament, and they're each £10. He said, if you do those two, you do those 2 for 15. He said, it'll be bloody chaos at the merch desk. So that's what we'll do. I trust him. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you. This my sons have told me I've got to ask you this. Okay, I've got to get it sort of into the social media type thing. Okay, apparently. And so I want to ask your permission in the second half, if it's okay, if I could take a photograph of you from the stage, if that's all right. Because if I get a really attractive audience, right? What I'd like to do is, what they told me, take a picture of the audience, Dad. Take a picture of the audience. Then you put it on the fake Thackray Facebook page, right? And then a couple of days later, people can go on and they can go onto your page. They hit the like button. That's where you go on. You see, they hit the like button. That's the clever part. They do the like button, and then they can tag themselves. You can see yourself. You put your name on there. See, this is what young people do, apparently. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'd like to ask in the first half, just in case you're here tonight with somebody you ought not to be. You can swap seats. See? I don't want to be sued. Okay. I think it's probably an unlikely venue for a secret assignation, isn't it? Can you get away to? I can get away. Yeah. Where should we meet? I believe fake Thackray's on the path. Probably don't. Maybe, you never know. Anyway, you can't sue me now because I've warned you. Interval coming up. My landlady had 3 lovely daughters who used to come and make my bed each day. They used to come and clean my living quarters, but their mother made quite sure they didn't stay. There was Mary, she seemed cherry. There was Helen, she was well and truly sceptical about my qualities. There was Julie, she was truly well proportioned, but her caution brought exhaustion to my aching arteries. But I was wrong, they weren't at all impervious to the possibilities of high romance. And I sensed a certain girlish nerviness in the way they folded my pyjama pants. And I was right, for late one night sweet little Mary, like a fairy as I lay sleeping, came a-creeping to my side. And she was mine, it was divine, but we were doomed, for very soon came Sister Helen into the bedroom, and she cried, Mary, go to bed. Off Mary went. Now, young man, Helen said, for your punishment, we mustn't have a fight, we mustn't have a row. Turn off that light, it's my turn now. Well, I was young and relatively vigorous, and though I still protest my innocence, by temperament I'm strictly non-polygamous, and if I sinned, well, I sinned in self-defense. Nevertheless, I must confess I wouldn't miss the kind of bliss when it was ended. I was rendered comatose, when loud and clear and very near, and in my ear a loud voice spoke, and I was awoken from my post-coital doze. Helen, go to bed. Helen went away. Now, young man, Julie said, you will have to pay. You've blighted Helen's charms and filched her purity. Open up them arms, come and filch me. I was amazed and really rather tired. I thought I'd given all that I could give. A little kip was all that I desired. But I'm British, so me upper lip was stiff. She was chaotic, idiotic, so exotic and ecstatic, acrobatic and emphatically fine. All to no good, for when I could open my eyes, to my surprise I found her mother gazing into mine. Julie, go to bed. Julie left the scene. Now listen, Ma, I said, I know the old routine. I'll do what you like, but I shall be vexed, and I'll bloody well go on strike if Grandma's next.
Six people and all, and it's well, it's ever so flattering. They requested 6 songs. You have no idea how flattering it is when somebody says, could you please sing them? It's difficult for me to realise that people come up and say, you know, we're ever so fond of that in our house, and it's flattering. So I'll do 3 of them. Now then, of the remaining 3, one is a request for a song written by somebody else, and it's a very fine song. But I don't know it. And then there's 2 left. Now, listen, I'm not going to be straight out with it and about it. I'm not going to sing those 2 songs because I would sing them badly. Now then, to those 2 remaining people whose songs I'm not going to sing, if it's any consolation, in the songs I am going to sing, there will be lots of the same notes as in the songs that I'm, you know. So, ladies and gentlemen. Up my family tree, there hangs my curious pedigree, my long, my lurid ancestry, the prancing phantoms and ghosts of my rude forefathers. Notwithstanding all their sins, bless my kiths and bless my kins, there they perch for all to see, up my family tree. Up my family tree, no blue blood, no nobility, no trace of aristocracy, except for Uncle Sebastian, who once goosed the Duchess. Notwithstanding all my west, kiss my kid, then we perch for to see up my family tree. We've no
no ancestral halls, no haughty portraits on our walls, no family monuments at all, unless it's my cousin Sheila's stupendous cleavage. Notwithstanding all their sins, bless my kids and bless my perch for all to see up my family tree. My uncle Will, my auntie May, were very much in love, so they got married after some delay. They dressed their kids up in white when they both went legal. Nevertheless, despite their sins, bless my kids and bless my kids there, perch for all to see up my family tree. My brother Geoffrey at 13, he was a Boy Scout keen and clean. He got presented to the Queen, and then he went and spoiled it all when he offered her a woodbine. Understanding all their sins, bless my kids and bless my kids, and perch for all to see up my family tree. Let this be understood, that our family name is Mugg. Our sheep are black, our checks are good, but we survive, we're alive, so it's up with the Thackrays. Nevertheless, despite their sins, bless my kids and bless my then they march from to see up my family tree. A few years ago I had the huge honour of being asked to be the support act for a bunch of oldies called Fairport Convention. So they went on tour, and it was just, I'd only just been doing this for about a year, and somebody sent my CD off to them, and Dave Pegg and one of the others in the band were friends of Jack Thackray, and I got the gig. They got the call and said, would you like to come and do a 6-week tour with Fairport Convention? It's like too bloody right, and it was a real honour because in folky world there's a real sort of pecking order to get these sort of things. It was a real honour, and I was really scared because these guys have been playing music and drinking with each other for about 50 years now, so I struggled to keep up in all departments, but it was fantastic fun. And I previously had a job in business, so I just had the immense pleasure of saying to my teenage boys that Dad was going on tour. And it was fantastic. They were so generous, and I thought, support act, you get a microphone somewhere tucked away, centre stage. It's brilliant. And the months before the tour started, I got a call from Dave Pegg from the band saying, this is how we like to structure the evening. You go on and do 25 minutes, and then we come on and join you for one song, and then you go off. That's how we do the handover. We don't do an interval at that stage. So which Jake Thackray song would you like Fairport Convention to learn? And I said, this next one, and he said, great, send us a CD of how you do it, and I did. A couple of weeks later, the CD came back, and they'd arranged it for mandolin and violin and guitar. It was just glorious. And there's still evidence on YouTube of my, well, not 15 minutes of fame, but 4.5 minutes of fame. If you put in Fairport Convention Fake Thackray, you'll see that every night for 6 weeks, just for 4.5 minutes, I had Fairport Convention as my backing band. And we did the only song that any of us knew about a transvestite nun. Oh, Sister Josephine, what do all these policemen mean by coming to the convent in a grim limousine? After Sister Josephine, why you, Sister Josephine, you sit with your boots up on the altar screen and smoke one last cigar. What a funny nun you are. The policemen say that Josephine's a burglar in disguise. Big bad Bernard, 15 years on the run. The sisters disbelieve it, no, that can't be Josephine. Just think of all her tenderness towards the younger nuns. Oh, Sister Josephine, they're searching the chapel where you've been seen, the nooks and the crannies of the nuns' canteen. After Sister Josephine, why you, Sister Josephine, you sip one farewell Benedictine before your au revoir. A right funny nun you are. Admittedly, her hands are big and hairy and embellished with a curious tattoo. Admittedly, her voice is on the deep side, and she seems to shave more often than the other sisters do. Oh, Sister Josephine, founder of the convent pontoon team, they're searching your bundles of rare magazines after Sister Josephine. Why, you, Sister Josephine, you give a goodbye sniff of Benzedrine to the convent, but you regard a bloody funny nun you are. No longer will her snores ring through the chapel during prayers, nor her lustful moanings fill the stilly night. No more empty bottles of altar wine come clunking from her cell. No longer will the cloister toilet seat stand upright. Oh, Sister Josephine, slipping through their fingers like Vaseline, leaving them to clutch your empty crinoline after Sister Josephine. Why, you, Sister Josephine, sprinting through the suburbs when last seen, dressed only in your wimple and your rosary. A right funny nun you seem to be.
Please buy me the America. Hello,
Jake was talking about getting requests in that little clip. And one of the joys of doing this job is when people come up and ask you for a request, as long as you know the song, of course. And the strangest request I've ever had, and I have told this a couple of times, but it's true and it's still true. I'll explain what I mean by that. The strangest request I had was for this next song. The song is called The Last Will and Testament. And I had a gentleman come up to me and ask, would I play The Last Will and Testament of Jake? And I said, yes, of course. I'll play it in the second half. And he said, no, you misunderstand me. I want you to come and play this at my funeral, he said. And I thought, this is a wind-up, this is my son's winding me up. They're going to be there with cameras somewhere looking. And he was serious, It was an elderly guy, clearly frail. And he was serious. He said, no, I've decided, before I knew you were playing Jake Thackray songs, I decided I'm going to have that song played at my funeral. I was going to get the LP or the CD or whatever played. Would you come and play the song at my funeral? And my first thought was, this is a bit strange. And then I thought, a gig's a gig, innit? So I said, yeah. That was nearly 3 years ago, and the bug is still here. He is. I was talking to somebody earlier about him. His name's Bernard, and he's still around. We talk regularly. Me and Bernard. And I said, Bernard, I should have got the money up front for this one, shouldn't I? And we've developed this very strange routine, me and Bernard. We talk on the phone once a month. The first of every month, I phone him. And I have to do it. My wife thinks this is bizarre, and I have to do it when she's out. I have to make this phone call. And it's the same phone call every month, and Bernard and I are the only two people that think this is funny. You don't have to, but we do. I phone him, and he's expecting my call because it's the first of the month, and I say, Bernard, hello, Bernard, it's John. He says, hello, John. And I ask him the same question every month. I say, Bernard, how are you feeling? And he says something like, oh, never better. No, I feel really good, thanks. And I go, okay, bye. And that's it. It's a conversation. We think this is a hoot and nobody else does. And so I hope for many years to come this is not for Bernard. I, the undermentioned by this document, do declare my true intentions, my last will, my testament. When I turn up my toes, when I rattle me clack, when I agonize, I want no great wet weepings, no tearing of hair, no wringing of hands, no sighs, no lack of days, no woe is me's, and none of your sad adieus. Go and get the priest, but then go get the booze, boys. Death, where is thy victory grave? Where is thy sting? When I snuff it, bury me quickly. Then let carousals begin, but not ado, with a few ham sandwiches, a sausage roll or two, and a small port wine. Please roll the carpets right back, get cracking with your old K. Gordons and your knees up, shake it up, live it up, sup it up, hell of a kind of a time. And if the coppers come around, well, tell them the party's mine, boys. boys. Let best beef be eaten, fill every empty glass. Let no breast be beaten, let no tooth be gnashed. Don't bother with a fancy tombstone or a big deal angel or a little copper flower pot grow. A dog rose in my eyes or a pussy willow, but no forget me notes, no epitaphs, no keepsakes you can let slip. You can say a prayer or two for me soul, but make it quick, boys. Lady, if your bosom is heaving, don't waste your bosom on me. Let it heave for a man who is breathing, a man who can feel, a man who can see. And to me cronies, you can read me books, and you can drive around in me motor car, and you can fish your trout with me flying tackle. You can play upon my guitar and sing me songs, wear me shirts, you can even settle me debts. You can kiss me little missus if she's willing then, but no regrets, boys. Your rosebuds are numbered, gather them now for rosebud's sake. And if your hands aren't too encumbered, gather a bud or two for Jake. Do a serious song now. This was written in 1986 at the request of a German television company, of all things, and it was before the Berlin Wall came down, so it was a West German television company. They were writing a television series about people who lived on either side of borders, but it was to go out in English. It was a German company, but it was doing part of an educational programme. And they asked Jake Thackray, would you write a song about people who live on either side of borders? And he said yes, and I've got the correspondence between them. And he said, it's 13 episodes to this programme, so we'd like a song with 13 verses. And he said, bugger off. He said, I'll do a song which has as many verses as it takes me to get across the message, and if you like it, pay me, and if you don't, don't. And they did, and so they did. It's a serious song called Side by Side, 1986, but bang up to date. This is Trump's wall, it's Brexit, it's division, it's every other item in the news today. Side by Side. Stand here side by side. We are so near and so divided. We always draw the line. How do we ever come together? Me to your side, you to mine. We feel these borders in our bones, we draw these borders in our head, down the middle of the road, up the middle of the bed, the north, the south, the left, the right, the orange, the green, the black, the white. We build more walls and we build bridges. We stand here side by side. So near and so divided, we always draw the line. How do we ever come together? Me to your side, you to mine. We've got these borders in the blood, under the skin, deep in the heart. We feel the need to keep together. We keep the need to feel apart. The here, the there, the now, the then, the me, the you, the us, the them. We live forever on the borders. We stand here side by side. We are so near and so divided, we always draw the line. How do we ever come together? Me to your side, another serious one. It's one that genuinely does not get played very often. It's JVD's most overtly political. It's a song called God Bless America. And for the premise of this song, the ridiculous premise of this song, takes the just outrageous notion that America has been taken over by a right-wing, racist, isolationist regime. And it's from the point of view of an American person in this country and in Europe, looking back at America, thinking what a fantastic country that is, and how people in France can't make French fried potatoes and the Italians can't make pizza and all this sort of stuff. And he has a go at American involvement in Vietnam and racism. And in order to make the point about racism, he uses a very racist word in the song. Sometimes I sort of soften it, but I'll give you the unedited. It was censored by the BBC, this. But I'll give you the uncensored version tonight. A couple of historical bits that just need explaining. The Flying Nun was a comedy series in America that was on at the time. And the reference to the clubs of the coppers in Chicago, a month before this song went out, the Chicago police were on TV using clubs and batons against anti-war protesters in Chicago. That's that reference. He was only a lonely American. America's aftershave and apple pie, sitting on the steps of the Albert Memorial, he started to cry. Oh, I've done Paris, and I've done Copenhagen, I've done Amsterdam, and I've done Rome, and I've been done by everybody everywhere. I wanna go home. God bless America. God bless the biggest and best. God save America. And God help all the rest. Take me back to the land of the tranquilizer, home of the free and the cut price gun, cradle of democracy and roll-on deodorant, land of the Flying Nun. Oh, I miss tomato, ketchup and sody pop, black-eyed peas and blueberry pie, and I miss the clubs of the coppers in Chicago. I'm a regular guy. God bless America. God bless Uncle Sam. God save America. And Vietnam, goddamn. I'm just a red-blooded, decent old American. I honour the flag and the great big bomb. Say my prayers to General Motors and I love my mom. Oh, people over here don't know how to make a pizza, and the French fried potatoes only make me smile. And they can't grill a nigger quite the way that we do, Southern style. God bless America. God will, 'cause God's okay. God save America. If he's cleared by the CIA. Carry me back to the land of fraternity, where the elks and the buffalo roam, where seldom is heard an un-American word. I wanna go home. Oh, he was only a lonely American, American as aftershave and apple pie, sitting on the steps of the Albert Memorial, he started to cry. God bless America. God bless the Ku Klux Klan. God save America. He's the only one who can. out. Isabel makes love upon national monuments with style and enthusiasm, and anyone at all. Isabel's done Stonehenge and the Houses of Parliament, but so far little Isabel's never played the Albert Hall. Many a monolith has seen Isabel, her bright hair in turmoil, her breast surging swell. Unhappy Albert, so far denied the bright side of Isabel getting into her stride. The Forth Bridge, the Cenotaph, Balmoral and Wembley, the British Museum and the House of Lords. So many ticks in her National Trust catalogue, but so far the Royal Albert Hall has not scored. Countless cathedrals can now proudly show where Isabel's white shoulder blades have briefly reposed. Miserable Albert, still waiting for the imprint of Isabel on his parquet floor. In Westminster Abbey she lay upon a cold tombstone, a meat in a sandwich of monumental love, with old pole-faced Wordsworth unblinking beneath, and a bright-eyed young archdeacon breathless above. Many a stony-faced statue has flickered its eyes and swayed to the rhythm of her little panting cries, but old wretched Albert never yet has known Isabel's pretty whinnying echo round his dome. On the last night of the promenades, she waved to the conductor, and there and then on the podium, with scarcely a pause, with a smile and a bow and a loud "Rule Britannia," he completed her collection to applause. Rapturous Albert now knows full well he's captured forever in elusive Isabel, prettily dishevelled and firmly installed, and faithful forevermore to the Royal Albert Hall. No more frantic scramblings up the dome of St. Paul's, no more dank rambles on Hadrian's Wall. With style and enthusiasm and anyone at all, Isabel makes love in the Royal Albert Hall. You see, anything that was going on in that song was just entirely in your heads. The rudest and smuttiest line in that song was, "He completed her collection to enormous applause." Innuendo. Oh, another request, yes, needed. This is a song, a love song. It's a love song. It's called La Di Da, and it's a funny song, but it genuinely is a really beautiful love song. I was one of the people I've interviewed in the course of my research was Esther Ranson, who hosted the That's Life programme, and she's a lovely lady, very generous with her time, and told me lots of stuff. And I said, "Tell me something people won't know. Just tell me a little secret about what was going on in those days." She said, "Well, I'll tell you this. She said, "But it must go no further." I said, trust me, Esther." She said, "I used to fancy him like mad." She said, "I've never told anybody this. I used to fancy him rotten." She said, "When he came in, oh, rugged good looks," she said. And I said, "Which was your favourite Jake Thackray song?" And she said, this one, La Di Da. So, yeah, it's a love song, and peculiar love song, but Jake dedicated this to married men. He thought that married men deserved a song, because on that special day, they get more than they bargained for. They don't just get a wife, bride, they get all a family too. Now I agree that we're in love, we'll have to face the la-di-da. The eyewash, all the fancy pantomime. I love you very much. I'll try the vile bill and coo. With your gruesome Auntie Susan, I'll stay calm, I'll play it cool. I'll let your tetchy uncles get big black across my heart. And I shan't get shirty when they say I look peculiar. I'll be nice to your mother, I'll come all over la-di-da. Although she always gets up me nose, I love you very much. And so I'll smile and I'll acquiesce when she invites me to caress her scabby cat. I'll sit still while she knits and whitters across my heart. And I shan't lay a finger on the crabby old bat face. I'll be polite to your daddy, frightfully la-di-da. Although he always bores me to my boots, I love you very much. And so I won't boo and hiss when he starts to reminisce. I won't drop off, I won't flare up the runs he used to score and how he won the war across my heart. But I'll have to grit my teeth when he goes on about his rupture. I'll behave at the wedding breakfast, I'll be la-di-da. So help me, hearty toasts, crummy jokes, I love you very much. So help me, I'll force a laugh for the flicking photograph. So have no fear, I won't turn tail, I won't run amok. The females chuck confetti in my ear. And cross me hard, love, I'll keep off the pale ale when we're off on our own. No more la-di-da-di-da. I promise we just won't have the time. We won't have time for such fancy pantomime. I love you far too much. I might need some help on this one in understanding the song. I just regard this next one as a very, very silly song. It's a short song. I just think it's silly, and I like to find the meaning behind Jake's songs. I like to analyse and understand them. I can find no depth in this at all. I just think it's bloody silly. But if anybody does find the meaning, so tell me afterwards or email me or something. There was a man who, when he won stuff at the stalls in village fairs, would always choose the tortoise, not the goldfish, not the teddy bears. He'd always answer when they asked him what he wanted for a prize. I'll have another of them little crunchy pies. Crunchy pies, crunchy pies, and there was hunger in his eyes. I'll have another of them little crunchy pies, crunchy pies. I know that God created tortoises, but is God always wise? He never gives us clear distinctions, as with tortoises and pies. We could have spared such moral horror to the likes of me and you, and doubtless to the little crunchy toys too. Tortoise too, tortoise too. Oh Jesus, tell us what to do, and for Christ's sake tell the little crunchy toys too. It never think, does it? This was supposed to be based on a true story. I don't know whether it was or not, but let's say it was. She kissed me like a child, fresh and peckish like a child. She was wild as little strawberries, and though she kissed me as a child would do, she clung a little longer than she needed to. I did it for a dare, go and kiss her for a dare. In the middle of the village square she was as 17ish as the month of May, and her daddy was a butcher in a pie and pudding's way. But then this little skirmish of a kiss was importunately witnessed by the twitching whiskers and the bulging eyes of a couple of the local ladies who were passing by. The local ladies who were passing by. Misunderstood, this pretty kiss misunderstood by the twitching sisterhood, and thus the whisper went from pinafore to pinafore, every tut more grievous than well I never before, until her daddy heard, her demented daddy heard every grisly whispered word, and stepping fresh from the slaughterhouse, the crimson bunch around, the steam around his shoulder, still a cleaver still in his hand. Well, you may buy my pies, he cries, my puddings, buy my pies, but keep your whipper-snapping eyes from off the juicy beauty of my daughter, who is a tidbit far too tasty for the lips the likes of you, likes of you, likes of you. Far too tasty for the lips that lay about likes of you. He swung his cleaver high, swung his whistling cleaver high, and his cry was agonising. I shall follow King Solomon's decision, inasmuch I'm off to split you down the middle, easy, collarbone to crutch. But with a single bound, his daughter, with a springy bound, flung her arms and legs around me, crying, split all you wish to, daddy, let the cleaver fall, and you will split me likewise, precious tidbits and all. I am my own to give, nobody else but mine to give. Perhaps I'll give it to this whippersnapper, backbone to belly button, tongue to toe, from nipples up above to bushy triangle below, down below, down below. My tangled diamond down below. Which came as news to me, both to the butcher man and me. But it was I to disagree, what with my nose in her breastbone, her haunches in my hand, and a chopper in the offing, there was a lot to understand. The cleaver never fell, the jealous cleaver never fell, and although my eyes were elsewhere, by a pressing little message on her elbows and thighs, she let me know her daddy gone with tears in his eyes. She kissed me like a child, fresh and peckish like a child, she was wild as little strawberries, and though she kissed me as a child would do, she took on a little longer than she needed to. On a little longer than she needed to. Once was an old captain who wished nothing more than to live again his voyages and walk by the seashore. A simple man and a good man, but the bane of his life was his ill-tempered, bad-hearted bitch of a wife. Though the jolly captain was plagued by her bile, he smoked his long pipe and he smiled upon her tenderly. He didn't like her much, but he loved her, despite her rough tongue, the way-faced old nagbag had been his pretty darling once. Fell down the staircase, she fractured her neck, she lay upon the linoleum in a black apoplexy. Her baleful eyes bulged with unspeakable abuse. It seemed that her spleen had been overproducing. So the jolly captain carried her to bed. Close your poor eyes, he said, sleep a little peaceably, and he poured her fresh butter, cool watercress, violet and peppermint to soothe her heart's bitterness. From her deathbed she said, if you marry when I die, I'll come back from my coffin and haunt you vexatiously. The howl and the scowl and the scurry and the shake, she spat out her peppermint and went to vex her maker. Unhappy captain, so sad when she died, he closed her wild eyes and he cried a bit on the Friday. But he saw no good reason for wasting away, so he married an apple-cheeked girl on the Saturday. Alas, jolly captain, you've married too soon. She'll come back to torment you from underneath her tombstone. She'll scratch and she'll scrape her way up from the grave, hacking her way back again with furious fingernails. No, said the jolly captain. In the place, she can hack, she can claw till she's black in the face. No, she won't come to haunt me or taunt me, I know, 'cause I buried her face downwards, she's a long way to go. Thank you. So we'll just do a couple more because I know people have got trains and stuff to catch. So we'll do a couple more. Yeah, I've been trying for a long time to write a song about Jake. My ambition was to write a song about Jake in the style of Jake, and it took me an awful long time to actually get to it because I would write a couple of lines and I would compare them to Jake Thackray lines, and therefore I would scrunch up the paper, and I ended up with a very full waste paper bin and no song. And I was fortunate enough to be able to have a conversation on the topic of Jake with his good friend in his lifetime, Ralph McTell. And I mentioned this thing about writing a song, and I asked for his advice because he's written a few, you know, Ralph. And he said, just take a run at it, write it, don't think about it, write it, put it in a drawer, leave it for a while, and let it sort of ferment, and then come back to it later on. Don't try and criticise it always, critique all the way through. Anyway, I did, and this is my little tribute to Jake. It's called The Wordsmith. He was a wordsmith by trade. He was ahead of his time. He would compose unafraid. He would insert double rhyme in mid-line where you might not have done so yourself. He was not set to conform, not driven by fame or by wealth. And you should have heard him perform the songs he wrote so well. When he cast a spell, he'd make you laugh or cry. Fit to die, a humble star, for he was shy, as poets often are. With a bon voyage and an au revoir, teaching off in France for a spell, plucking on a nylon string guitar, and learning songs from Brassens and from Brel. You can tell him so distinctively he learned to croon in a manner most lugubrious, and yet such joy and humour captured in a tune, and a voice you couldn't possibly forget, you bet, 'cause he got a style and it stuck out by a mile. It never seemed that he, so palpably unique, bizarre, could ever be a television star. In the classroom back in Yorkshire for a time, he discovered as the lessons went along, with a clever turn of phrasing and a rhyme, he could get the kids' attention with a song, and before long on the radio and telly he was heard, with a talent and a target to expose the pompous and the patently absurd, the bigot and the self-important, those, God knows, those clever dicks with an ego in need of a prick. So sharp was he with honesty, so don't expect Jake's songs to be politically correct. So here's to the rampant bantam cock, our dog in all the doings that it's done. Here's to Molly Metcalf and the flock, the lodger and the transvestite nun on the run, and to Isabel and all the la-di-da, the blacksmith and the friggin' brigadier, to a Yorkshireman of je ne sais quoi, to a poet with an eye and an ear and no fear. Such men are few. He was honest, he was true, so do a couple more. But no one calls, no last refrain, just let him play on again and again, on again and again, on again and again. Thank you. Thanks again for coming and doing the live music thing. instead of the telly thing, especially on a cold night. It's been really great. So many people turned up, and so many people obviously know Jake, or people who are new to Jake, but they seem to be enjoying what they're hearing. It's fantastic. Do spread the word. And yeah, thanks for... I said something at a gig a while ago, and about thanking people for supporting live music and not watching telly. And a lady came up at the end, and it's my favourite backhanded compliment I've ever had. I do love it. She came up at the end and she wanted to say something nice about the songs and the performance. She wanted to make a compliment. But what she said, you're right about not staying in and watching telly. You know, she said, you're right. She said, I'll tell you something. You're better than half the shite on the telly. I'm sure one of my sons is going to get that on a T-shirt for me. I'm rehearsing to be better than 2/3 of the shine. I'm going to leave you with my favourite Jake Thackray song. I did say that one or two of his songs could be misinterpreted as being a little bit misogynistic or sexist, and I said I would defend all of his songs, and I will defend them all except this one. Except this one. This is totally indefensible, really, but it's just a good song, and yeah, thank you for coming. And the justification for doing this song, apart from it being funny, is I think it has the best opening line of any song ever written, not just a Jake Thackray song, any. This is the benchmark. Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening. It's been absolutely lovely. Love a good bum on a woman, it makes my day. To me it is palpable proof of God's existence a posteriori. Also I love breasts and arms and ankles, elbows, knees. It's the tongue on a woman that spoils the job for me. Please understand, I respect and admire the frailer sex, and I honour them every bit as much as the next misogynist. But give some women the ghost of a chance to talk and they're a bond. They'll go on again, on again, again, on again, on again, on again, on. I fell in love with a woman with wonderful thighs and hips, and a sensational belly. I just never noticed her lips were always moving. Only when we got to the altar and she had to say I do, and she folded her arms and gathered herself and took in her breath, and I knew she could have gone on again, on again, on again, till the entire congregation passed out and the vicar passed on and the choir boys passed through puberty. At the reception I gloomily noticed her family's jubilant mood, their maniacal laughter and their ghastly gratitude. For a shave or a sleep or a swim. She talks to me on a Sunday when I go singing hymns and drinking heavily when I go mending my chimney pots. She's down there in the street, and at 95 on my motor bike she's on the pillion seat, wittering on again, on again, on and again and again. When I'm eating or drinking or reading or thinking or when I'm saying my rosary, she will never stop talking to me. She's one of those women who will never use 3 or 4 words when a couple of thousand will easily do. Also talks without stopping to me in our bed of a night, throughout the sweetest of our intimate delight. She never gives over, not even stopping while we go hammer and tongue towards the peak, except maybe for a sigh and a groan and one perfunctory shriek. And then she goes on again, on again, on again, on, and I must assume that she has never noticed that she's just been interrupted. Totally unruffled she is, and as far as I can see, I might just as well have been posting a letter or stirring up the tea. She will not take a hint, not once she's made a start. I can yawn or belch or bleed or faint or flatulate with not drop a syllable. I can stand in front of her grimly sharpening up an axe. I can sprinkle her with paraffin and ask her for a match. She just go on again, on again, on again, even more. The hind leg off a donkey is peanuts for her, she can bore. The balls of a buffalo, mother have gone and cried, one day you'll let your kingdom come. And in the meantime, mother, won't you strike this bugger dumb? Well, believe it or not, she appeared to me then and there. The Blessed Virgin herself in answer to my prayer. Despite the vulgarity, shimmering softly dressed in blue and holding up a hand, I cocked a pious ear as the Mother of God began. And she went on again, on again, on again, on and I will have to state haven't been much sympathise with the rest of the family. Give some women the ghost of a chance to talk, and thereupon they'll go on again, on again, on again, on again, and again, and again, and again, and again. They will go on again, on again, on again, on again, on again, on again, on. Listen, people have got trains to catch, so we can't afford all that time of walking on and off and that sort of thing. Thank you so much, thank you. I'll, if you're not offended by that one, I'll sort you out with this one. I never get asked to do any more after this, so I'll say that. This is the song that got Jake into even more trouble with the BBC. It's a song in which he is able to have a go at people in positions of authority and stuff like that. And yeah, it's got a little bit of a chorusy thing. Unusually for Jake, it's got a little bit of a chorusy thing going on. And nobody ever joins in with the chorus, and I don't know why. So maybe what's it called? The Bull. On my farm, the bull is the king of the yard. He's big, he's bad, he's strong, he's brave, he's hard. All of my other animals would readily concur. He is the one you salute, he's the one you call sir. But my hens, a noisy flighty flock, led of course by my unsubmissive cock. Whenever His Majesty the bull importantly goes by, they dance along behind him and they cry, beware of the bull. The bull is the biggest of all. He is the boss, he is because he's big and we are small. Bigger the bull, the bigger the balls. The bigger the bull, the bigger and quicker and thicker the bull shine falls. Beware of the bull, the dancing cock is right. Beware of whoever looks down upon you from a height. Beware of his honour, his excellence, his grace, his worshipful. Beware of his highness, because of the bull. For if the boss, the chief, the chap at the top, should let a single lump of claptrap drop, the greater the weight and the height he is, the harder it will go, with a grounder splat on the bleeders below. Beware of the bull. The bull is the biggest of all. He is the boss, he is because he's big and we are small. But the bigger the bull, the bigger the balls. The bigger the bull, the bigger and quicker and thicker the bull shine falls. The hero arrives, we hoist him shoulder high. He's good, he's wise, he's strong, he's brave, he's shy. And how we have to bleed with him, how bashfully he climbs up the steps of the microphone, two at a time. Then down it comes, a slick, slithery pat. If you must put people on pedestals, wear a big hat. The tongue he's got is pure gold, the breast is pure brass. The feet are pure clay, but watch out for the ass. The bull is the biggest of all. He is the boss, he is because he's big and we are small. But the bigger the bull, the bigger the balls. The bigger the bull, the bigger and quicker and thicker the bull shine fall. These well-known men, so over-glorified, there's one of them here, his name's on the poster outside. And he's up here like this, and you are remember his cock and his bull and mutter beware. For when they've done, we clap, we cheer, we roar, for he is a jolly good fellow on Cornwall Moor. How glorious it would be if before these buggers began, we all stood up together and solemnly sang, beware of the bull. The bull is the biggest of all. He is the boss, he is because he's big and we are small. But the bigger the bull, the bigger the boss. The bigger the bull, the bigger the quick, the bigger the bull shine fast. The bull is the biggest of all. He is the boss, he is because he's big and we are small.